What's up, guys and gals? This is Chris, the Bonafide Hustler, coming to you live from my garage. This episode is going to be really interesting. So, I've had a pretty good week. Not to mention that the Civil War bullet contest was actually really cool, and I like connecting with the viewers. So the ones that actually won the bullets out there, get with me soon so I can send those bullets out to you. But for those of you that didn't win the bullet, you know, don't worry about it. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be available that I'm going to be putting out there real soon. Now, this past week was actually really good for things that I've sold, especially in the antique booth that I have, okay? A lot of things, you know, just sit there and they kind of, I wouldn't say they just stagnate or anything like that. They just sit there and it takes time for them to sell. But when they sell, and something sells almost every single day. In fact, on a busy weekend like this Memorial Day weekend, there are a lot of things that sell every day. I'd probably sell about 4 to 10 items every single day in the antique booth. So it's really good. And it's a great place to put all your stuff as like a housing thing. You know, like you can put all your stuff there and you don't have to put it in your garage and you just price them and tag them. It's amazing, okay? eBay's doing pretty well for me too, but certainly not as good as the antique mall. And then of course my bike stuff on the side here locally is just doing really well. Okay, so today's little show, today we're going to be talking about some of the things that I found behind me this past week. And we're also going to go back, actually not go back, we're going to go forward and talk about the thing called the first step. And what is the first step as a hustler? Like, how can you get started being a really good hustler, okay? Like, how did you start, Chris? And I can tell you my story. So if you guys are ever wondering, like, how did you start getting into this thing? He's pretty good at it. I'll tell you, okay? I'll basically tell you, and these are the cheat sheets behind me, okay? So let's start the whole thing off from this side to that side, like we always do. Some of the things that I found this week, Timbuktu. These are 2 of them actually for like $3 a piece. These are Timbuktu laptop bags. I believe they're 15.6 diagonals, so they can fit a pretty reasonably sized laptop inside of there. Great for students. I live in a student college town, so these are wonderful. Don't know if I'm going to sell them locally or just slap them on the internet. I have no idea, but these should bring in about 20 bucks a piece. Okay. Here, a thing called Maniac. It's an actual electronic game. I really haven't figured out how to work it, but I do know that it works because it actually had batteries in it when I bought it. I bought it for $1, all right, this past weekend. In fact, like 2 days ago. And it's just super cool looking. I don't know what year this thing's from. Well, maybe it'll say it on the box. Doesn't say it on the box. But it's a really cool game. Look at this thing. It's called Maniac. It's kind of like before Simon was even Simon, before any of that stuff was cool. These are like reaction-based games. And yeah, so that's what this one is right here. In fact, I think 1979. Okay, so this is a really awesome game right here. Actually, I don't know how to work it, so I don't know if it's awesome or not. Okay, so right here is a Coleman Cooler. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's called a Snow Light Cooler. A lot of the Coleman Coolers, it's pretty amazing. I've delved into so many Coleman Coolers, and as long as they're that like cool tin metal thing, all right, not that spongy crap plastic, like this is actual metal, and you're paying for the metal and the clasp, okay? Basically when you buy this thing as a consumer. But if you're a hustler, you can get these things for dirt cheap. I don't think I've ever paid more than $3 for one of these things, right? And I can actually move these things for anywhere between 50 and 100 bucks all day long, So Coleman back in the day, it's still a really good cooler brand today. But back in the day, they made some really amazing coolers, and a lot of their coolers, you know, they would put out new models with different clasps. So if you look out there on eBay and start getting educated on Coleman Coolers, things that you will find at garage sales and estate sales and yard sales for really cheap, because no one ever suspects that this can bring in big money on eBay or something, right? This exact cooler right here, you can ask about 200 bucks on eBay if you had the box and it was like spanking new, okay? 200 bucks. Now, this one right here has a couple dings. It's nothing crazy. I bought it for like, I think $6 or something, and it's just super cool. Look at this thing. And that clasp right there is amazing, all right? It's awesome. You know, I always say, like, oh, maybe I want to keep it. But as a hustler, I'm trying to get better at that because I have a lot of cool things already. I don't need another one of these. I already have one sitting over there in the corner that I've got. It's a blue one. It's really cool. But it doesn't have this, like, snap lock thing right here. See that? And that thing is closed. And then opening it is like this. It's an amazing cooler. So, look for these things. They are gold mines, okay? Just like an Umco fishing tackle box. These things are gold mines. I also sank my teeth into these Nerf guns, okay? These Nerf guns I got for like $1 a piece, but if you look on the internet, these things are selling from like 15 and up. Some sell for like, I don't know, 30 to 50 bucks depending on how rare it is, but this is a Nerf long shot, and this right here is a Maverick. So, I don't know, I think they probably $10 on the internet for the Maverick, and for the long shot about 20 bucks, but hey, they were both $1 a piece, so you know, $1's a dollar, and if I can turn it into 20, I'm not going to complain about that. This past weekend on estate sales, I'm just trying to get more educated on Walkmans, Sony Walkmans especially. So if you look on eBay at completed auctions, the Sony Walkman completed auctions will just stun you. Things that you've been accustomed to as a child, or that you messed with, even before MP3 players, you know, there were these things and things that went around your head and sat there like big earmuffs, and people would jog around with these things. It's crazy to think where we've gone now. You know, everything's all little iPod Nanos and this and that, but you know, when you get back to it and you see one of these little Walkmans for like $3 or $2 or $1 at a garage sale, you'd be surprised what these things can bring on eBay. So this one right here is probably going to bring like 30 bucks. It's an experiment for me, okay? I'm willing to risk like all $3 on it. I don't care. But it's an experiment because I know that I will eventually come across a Walkman or two that's going to be worth like $100 to $200. So I think one of the highest completed auction Walkmans on eBay was like anywhere between, I think it was like 500 bucks or something like that. It was an insane amount, but it had its box and all that stuff. So be on the lookout for stuff like this. But I stick with Sony. Sony's a very, I wouldn't say cutting edge brand, but it's kind of like the brand that everyone identified with back in the day. And so this is the one. These, you know, those yellow ones that were like the sports models, look for all that stuff. Stuff with like buttons and mega bass and digital this and that. Look for that kind of stuff. And when you have the actual headphones that came out with it, look for that too. So very cheap at garage sales. An Aladdin lunch pail right here. Pretty cool, totally vintage. You know, it's plastic, right? Piece of junk. But people love this stuff, man. You live in a weirdo town where there's some alternative people, they're going to love this. Buy for 25 cents. That'll bring about 10 bucks at the antique booth. No problem. This right here, man, I don't know if I can balance this thing. There's a really cool surprise down here. It's probably going to hit the ground here in about 2 seconds. But, okay, so this right here is a Micro Machines, it's called a toy hauler, or I guess a van. And inside of it is the entire like Micro Machines scape. It kind of unfolds into like 5 billion pieces. And if you have Micro Machines, which was like the coolest Hot Wheel of the day, that's what it ends up looking like. This right here will bring about 30 to 50 on eBay, and I bought it for I think $3. All right, now here, a Tomy answer clock. This is one of the coolest finds I found of my entire search this past weekend. So you can set this thing to like whatever time you want, and you go like this, and bam, pretty cool, huh? And you just keep going like this. It's for kids to teach them how to do time. See, pretty cool, right? This right here goes for 30 to 50 bucks online all the time, and I spend $1 on it, okay? So that one's pretty awesome. All right, let's start treating you guys to what I found, some of the cool things I found this weekend. Here's a unicycle, vintage, looks like a Stedler or whatever, Stelber unicycle. This thing almost killed me the other day because I'm going to try to learn it, and then I'm going to sell it. But either way, me and my neighbor are trying to master this thing, and it is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. But if I don't end up, if you don't see me making any more Bonafide Hustler videos in the near future, you know what happened. Basically, the unicycle killed me. So this thing's pretty cool. Bought it for 25 bucks. Probably going to bring in, I mean, it's not a crazy amount. Maybe like 75, potentially 100, but I doubt it. But either way, it's got that cool factor to it. Who doesn't want to mess with a unicycle, right? And that's why I bought it. Okay. A Sony cassette quarter. This thing's pretty neat. I did test it out, and when the rewind and the fast forward don't work out too well. But when you buy it for $3, you can disclose that at an antique booth, and you can end up making, I don't know, 20 to 30 bucks on it. So it's cool, and it does work, and it sounds pretty good actually too. So that's that. All right. Probably the coolest find of the whole weekend, besides that Tomy clock, was this right here. And this I actually am going to keep. I'm going to build it up for my girlfriend. And I think I'm going to actually put some YouTube videos called Project Stumpjumper on it. But this right here is an old 90s Specialized Stumpjumper, okay? Specialized has come a long way now, and they make amazing mountain bikes. I've bought a bazillion Stumpjumpers in my life. But this right here is just a very hard to find frame. Found it for 25 bucks with a broken crank. I paid about $3 for a new crank at a little swap meet. And in this condition, the bike's worth about 200 bucks. When I clean it all up, the bike's gonna be worth about 400 bucks. And I just don't think I'm gonna sell it. It's really hard to find these things. In the 8 years that I've hustled, I've never found one of these. So yeah, it's a total score. And when I do sell it, whenever that is, it's gonna pay up. All right, cool. So let me put this thing up real quick, guys. Stay there. All right, let's talk about the first step. Cool. What is the first step? It is hot as hell in my town, and I'm not going to close the garage because if I open it up, you'll hear all the people mowing their lawns on this fabulous Memorial Day. Memorial Day is such an interesting thing. Have you ever noticed the fact that it's becoming more of like barbecue and less of like actually remembering the troops? It's so weird. So anyway, speaking of that, I'm getting kind of hungry. I think I want some barbecue. All right. So what's the first step? Okay, so as a beginning hustler, you might go like, where do I start? You're all lost. You're watching these videos going, oh, he's got some good stuff, but like, where do I start? What is the ultimate first step? Okay, so here it is. What you want to do is you want to be good at something, okay? You gotta start like one thing and get really, really, really good at it. So the first step is find something you like. And for me, naturally, when I was growing up as a kid, I was a big biker, right? I was just a big biker fan. My parents locked me outside of the house and said, no Nintendo for you because your grades are slipping, so go out and like, you know, go get on your bike and don't come back till dinner time. So that's what I did. Like, that is what I did. That was my life. So find something you like, okay? For me, naturally, I like bikes. Become an expert. Okay, so how do you become an expert? Let's say, I don't know, maybe like back for you guys, video games. Maybe it was like Jordache jeans. Maybe it was like jelly shoes. Maybe it was all kinds of stuff. Maybe it was old, you know, Guns N' Roses albums that are signed. I don't know, right? But become an expert at something. And then basically, the way you become an expert is you look at eBay. What's selling and what's been on the completed auctions, okay? That way you'll know the market very well. And then you want to look at Google Images. Google Images will show you the different years of the things that was produced that you like. So for me, if I look up Specialized Stumpjumper to find out what year that thing was, I will just go to Google Images and start searching around until I find a green and a pink frame, okay? And then I'll figure out the year. Then I'll research more about the year and the componentry and all that stuff. That's how you start getting to be an expert, okay? Because even if I didn't own that bike back in the day, doesn't mean I can't become an expert at it now, okay? And if I didn't want to build that thing up for my girlfriend, I would sell it and I would make a ton of money on that thing, a ton. So, and then another way to become an expert is your local market, Craigslist, all right? So, what you're gonna do is after you become your little expert, you're gonna start searching for it, okay? You're gonna think of ways that you can put yourself into where it might be sold. For me, that means, you know, looking on Craigslist for bikes, I could find old Specialized Stumpjumpers and stuff like that. I actually found that at Goodwill. But, you know, I'm surprised I found it there because literally it'd probably be gone like 5 minutes later. So, search for it, put yourself where it might be. You know, there was one time where like I wanted to become an expert at remote control, old school Tyco cars. And what I did is I became an expert. You know, I spent a week out in North Carolina, bored as hell. And not really that bored. I mean, it was a lot of fun, don't get me wrong. But on the nighttime, I kind of just, you know, got on the internet a whole bunch. Became an expert at these little Tyco RC cars. And I was like, okay, I want to start searching for it. So I went to little, you know, vintage places where there might be toys. And I mean, no joke, I found one. And I made a ton of money on it. I was like, God, you know, I probably would have just passed that by and never knew, right? So put yourself where it might be. All right, then buy it and sell it, okay? Buy it and sell it because you've been researching, you put all this time, buy it, you see, buy it and sell it, okay? You know the market, so buy it, sell it, and then track your progress, okay? Figure it out whether the profit was worth your time, okay? Because just because it wasn't worth your time the first time doesn't mean the second one won't be worth your time. You might just need to buy it lower or something like that, okay? So follow the first, this is the best way to get your first step done right there, okay? Make sure you're actually involved in it and you do like it, okay? Don't just go out and go, you know, I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna be a, if you're real big into fashion, go, I'm gonna be a really, I don't know, I wanna learn Ryobi power tools, you know, it's like, okay, you probably get burned up pretty quick doing that, but find something you're kind of, you know, affiliated with, something from your childhood, something from growing up, something that you already know a little bit about, okay? That's your first step. All right, so, as usual, if you do like these videos, comment, subscribe, okay? Comment down there, subscribe up there, wherever, I don't know what you have, an iPad or whatever. And then, yeah, pay attention to the feed of the channel, because I think once a month or maybe once every 2 weeks, I'm going to be sending stuff out to you guys, okay? Cool things that might be old, that might be current day, but they're going to be really neat things. So, comment, subscribe, let me know what I'm doing well, let me know what I'm sucking at. For most of you guys, I mean, you guys are like, hey, cool videos, you know, love them. And I gotta say out there in the picker community out there and those people on YouTube that are doing the same thing that I'm doing or I'm doing the same thing that you're doing, wonderful videos, all you guys, like seriously, all you guys are making wonderful things. I watch them and it makes me better, it really does. I mean, I look for the things that you have on your videos, so keep watching my videos, pay attention to all my items. I promise you, these are gold. These are all gold mines, okay? All of them. So, all right, anyway, I lost my train of thought. Comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in a few, and yeah, happy hustling out there, and happy Memorial Day. And make sure you get some barbecue, but don't forget the troops. See ya.